Good morning, Bill Panoff here with Porthole Cruise Magazine, and we're here with our friend and colleague in the cruise industry, Ken Muscat, the Executive Vice President and the Chief Operating Officer of MSC Cruises. Ken, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing great. Great to be here with you, Bill. Always nice to talk to you and all the Porthole readers, and happy to be here with you today.
Nice to see you. We haven't seen each other in person for months, so it's a great pleasure to see you again. And some exciting news with MSC Cruises. Recently, they started on August 16th, the sailing of the MSC Grandiosa in the Mediterranean. And so far, how's the first sailing going, and how are guests acclimating to the new protocols?
You know, so far, knock on wood, everything is really going well. As you mentioned, we started with our first ship, MSC Grandiosa, just this past Sunday, August 16th. She was the first ship in our fleet to get back into the get back into the swing of things since the start of the coronavirus. So it was very emotional and very exciting day for us and for the whole industry to finally be back in the Med. We were the first major cruise line to go back into the Med and actually stop at ports of call. So it's been a big test for us. The sailing so far is going really well. Everyone is acclimating very well to the new protocols. I'm happy to say that people are following the rules for the most part. Everybody understands the importance of this. We've put a tremendous amount of effort into welcoming these guests back and spent a lot of time on developing new health and safety protocols for this initial phase of restart. And, you know, it'll be a very slow phased approach, but it's definitely going very well. The atmosphere on board is very positive. Guests are still enjoying all the things that make cruising great. They're wearing their masks as needed. They're practicing social distancing. But really positive feedback so far.
Wow, that's awesome. Tell me about the 30-minute test that you're doing on guests, and how does that work?
So this was one of the key guidelines that we put in place as part of our restart, and it's working well, and it's gotten a lot of great attention throughout the industry, and I think it's just one of these new norms that people are going to have to start getting used to. All passengers are tested for COVID-19 using the immunofluorescence method. I'm horrible at pronouncing these words, but basically is a swab of the nose and throat. So we do that at the terminal when they arrive, and then it takes some time to get the results back. If they come back negative, they're free to continue the embarkation process. If for some reason the test comes back positive, these guests are then put aside and they get a secondary swab test while they're in a separate waiting area at the terminal, and we await the results for those tests. If they come back negative, then they're free to go on board, and if they come back positive, then they're not allowed to board the ship. So it's a very detailed process. A lot of work has gone into it, but again, I think people really appreciate it and understand the reasoning behind it, and they feel, you know, a real sense of safety and security around it.
Sure. Yeah, well, I applaud you on the way that you're handling that with the guests, and I can see that them being very you know, accommodating, obviously knowing that the environment on board is 100% safe. So it's great.
And not only on board, but also ashore. You know, we've taken great focus on making sure that that everything from embarkation, the shoreside visits through debarkation is handled in a very healthy and safe way.
Sure. MSC the CEO Johnny Odorato said they will only restart operations in the U.S. when the time is right, approval by the CDC and other relevant authorities. Given the spread of COVID and what's happening in the States, do you anticipate the November date that you had slated to be pushed back along with other lines to 2021 for the startup of cruising?
You know, it's hard to tell. You know, right now we're feeling very hopeful that we're going to be able to stick to that November date. We're going to be able to get back into cruising in 2020. We know our guests are very excited to get back to sea, especially in the Caribbean, especially to visit the ports of call that we plan on going to, and our new private island, which only opened, you know, a few months right before this whole thing hit. So, you know, the important thing to keep in mind, of course, is the safety of our crew and our guests is #1 important. So we're monitoring all the information from the relevant authorities. We won't be sailing again until the time is right and we get the right approvals and the necessary approvals from the CDC. And as you've heard, you know, everybody knows the CDC has been very strict and very closely working with the cruise lines, all the cruise lines and all the cruise line executives on what it's going to take to get back to cruising in the Caribbean. So I'm hopeful for 2020. We haven't given up on 2020 yet, but of course it's all really going to depend on what happens over the next few months. And I'm also hopeful that what we're starting to see in the Med and putting into practice finally these health and safety standards, that the CDC and other government officials will see that it's working, and that we can start to move forward in other markets, you know, a little bit quicker.
Right. Yeah, the steps you made are a tremendous positive impact on the entire industry, which is amazing. Yeah. Speaking of your private island, Ocean Cay, your beautiful private island, so its first guest just before the pause in cruise operations started. Are you making any changes on the island to accommodate the new world, so to speak?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we're looking at all the changes that we're making on board, and we're making sure that those will come over to the island as well. We currently have a small team of staff still on the island, and they're preparing the island exactly for this. So, you know, changes that we would be making with the buffet experience on board are the same changes we'll be making on the island. We know that it's going to continue to be a very popular destination for our guests, and the safety and health measures that we've implemented on board the ships will be extended to the island. The nice thing is that the island is 95 acres, 2 miles of beaches. Social distancing is not going to be a problem.
Not a problem.
People have a ton of space to themselves, and it's really going to be able to offer an incredible experience for our guests going forward, even in this COVID environment.
Sure. What can guests expect in the ports of call with excursions being prearranged or escorted, for example?
Yeah, you know, the excursions are not necessarily escorted. There's been some concerns around that, where people think, oh, I'm going to be, you know, handheld by a crew member and walked around everywhere. What we're doing, and we're testing this in the Med right now, obviously, that's the only place that we're operating, and we don't know what's going to happen once we start operating in the Caribbean, but it is working well. We've gotten a lot of good feedback from it. Basically, what we're saying is we're requiring guests to sign up for one of our shore excursions. It's normal shore excursions that you would do at any time, but you are required, in order to get off the ship, you need to do one of our organized shore excursions. And the reason that we're doing that is then we can ensure that every aspect of the guest time ashore meets the appropriate standards of health and hygiene, and the way that we do the transfers and the proper sanitations. The tour guides, the drivers are all wearing protective equipment. So this allows us to make sure that all of our guests are having that kind of experience. We are not letting people go off on their own. When they come back from the shore excursion, they get back on board the ship. And we know at that point that everybody's sort of been in this safety bubble, you know, that we've heard a lot about with the NBA, but it allows us to know where our guests have been and ensure that we're offering a very safe and healthy experience. And the feedback has really been good. You know, it started off where people weren't so sure about it, but the shore excursions are operating very well. And people are very appreciative of it. And the truth of the matter is, you know, on our very first cruise, we did have a family sway away from the shore excursion that they weren't supposed to do. It's against the rules. And we didn't let them back on board. And it's a tough decision to make, but in this environment, you can't risk it. And people, again, they understand it and they really appreciate it.
Makes 100% sense. It's really, I applaud you for sticking to that. Can crew disembark in the ports?
We're currently working on a number of ways for the crew to be able to have protected visits ashore. So they can, you know, they obviously depend on being able to jump off the ship to go ashore to get some shopping and some essentials. And we're still working through that process of how to enable them to do that. We definitely want them to be able to do that. And we're still working through the protocols to make that happen.
Got it. Do you have any upcoming sailing or events that you're looking forward to that you could share with the viewers? I did hear some exciting news about the float out of the new megaship MSC Seashore.
Yeah, this has been an exciting week for us because, you know, we had MSC Grandiosa start in the Med, which was a big deal. And then yesterday we had the float out of MSC Seashore. And that is a ship that's actually going to start off in the Med in 2021. And then it's going to come to Port Miami at the end of 2021. So she's going to be the second ship. We still have 2 ships coming out in 2021. Seashore is the second one to come out later in the year. And we also had announced that MSC Magnifica is going to be the second ship to start up in the Med, now following what Grandiosa has done. And she's scheduled to start up later on this month. So definitely those are the things that we're really keeping close eyes on.
Well, For our viewers who have not yet sailed on MSC Cruises, why should they consider MSC for their next cruise vacation?
You know, MSC is very unique. You know, we pride ourselves on our European heritage. You know, we're a family company from Europe, and we want to take that European heritage with us anywhere we sail around the world. Guests
Sure.
love our innovative ships. We have some of the most, you know, the youngest, newest, most modern, innovative ships in the industry. And we have a long-standing commitment to environmental sustainability, which we talk a lot about when visiting our private destination, Ocean Key, which is actually a marine reserve in the Bahamas.
Right.
So, you know, those are some of the reasons what makes MSC different. On board, we've got great international dining concepts and everything from Pan-Asian to traditional American steakhouses, Spanish tapas. You know, we've partnered with some of the best chefs around the world to create this kind of experience, along with wine pairings and great entertainment. We have our MSC Yacht Club, which is our ship within a ship concept that is all suites. You know, they have their own private pool. It's a dedicated key card access only area of the ship, their own dining room, their own pool access, their own pool deck, which people love. You know, it's definitely a higher end experience on board. And then we've got great technology on board as well. You know, even now, people are using the MSC for Me bracelet for tracking if they've been in close contact with somebody who may have come down with symptoms of COVID.
Oh, wow.
Which is something that we're doing right now on Grandiosa. We actually had this technology prior, and we were using these bracelets for people to be able to use their charges on board and open their staterooms, but now it even serves a different purpose. So that, along with the MSC for Me app, gives you a ton of information on all the activities that are happening on board. So, you know, those are some of the examples of why MSC is really special.
Sure. Any final thoughts for our viewers of Porthole Magazine and porthole.com?
You know, I think one of the key things for people to remember, and the whole industry is doing this as well as MSC, is we're in a time of understanding that we need to be very flexible. So we've recently launched, we've had from the beginning a very flexible program where if you have the need to cancel within 48 hours of your cruise, you can. Usually that's unheard of, as you know, but we know that people have some things that come up, and people are challenged with the economy right now, and jobs and health, and we want to be very flexible. We want to be flexible with payments. We just launched a new payment system with Uplift where people can do monthly payments instead of having to pay a lump sum at the beginning or throughout the payment cycle. We have our Total Cruise Flex, which allows you the flexibility of canceling 48 hours before the cruise. And, you know, these are things that we're trying to do to make people understand that we're really thinking about what our customer needs are. You know, this is an unprecedented time, and we're going to all go through this together, and we're going to evolve together, but we're working very carefully to make sure that we do everything right to bring guests back to sea on MSC, especially in the Caribbean and all over the world, as quickly as possible. So, you know, that's the important thing for people to keep in mind right now. MSC's strong. We're continuing to grow. We have a huge focus on North America. Lots of new ships coming in over the next few years, and we have every bit of confidence that that's going to continue. So it's, you know, even during this time, we're looking at the future of some very exciting things to come.
Sure. Ken Muscat, pleasure speaking with you, Executive Vice President, COO of MSC Cruises. And I look forward to the opportunity of sailing with you on one of the MSC ships in a very, very near future.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait, and looking forward to welcoming everybody on board. So thanks a lot for the time, Bill.
Thank you, Ken. All the best.